What does that? Ah! Jesus, take the wheel. Candle, a little lavender to keep us calm, cool, and collected. We're running a real low budget operation here, if you can't tell. I'm at a desk in my cat room, right next to the litter box. This candle smells so good. I can't believe I'm doing this. This is so goofy. My name is Marissa. I am a bathtub refinisher with Permaglaze of Texas in Fort Worth, Texas. Technically Dallas, Fort Worth, but you know, I'm based out of Fort Worth. My mom and I run the business together. I'm our technician, but I also handle all of our marketing, advertising, social media. That's part of it. Website. I built our website. That's obviously a huge part of it. Fuck, did this go out? Since I'm ill prepared, no budget having, flying by the seat of my pants, I'm just gonna do it no microphone because that is what it is. And hopefully I can clean up the audio a little bit in editing. If not, this is my first video. Forgive me, I have sinned. Just kind of a background actually on Permaglaze of Texas, our company. If you've been a bathtub refinisher for a long time, you know Permaglaze we were a franchise. There were Permaglaze everywhere. And when my mom bought the business from the previous owner, he had been running it in DFW for I think 25 years before us. Permaglaze was already on the decline, let's be honest. The like CEO had retired, and we did not they gave us a website, but it looked like it was from the beginning of the internet. They were supposed to help us with marketing. They really didn't at all. And that's kind of why my mom bought the business actually, is because they were supposed to be helpful. We were paying them a lot of money per month to get that help from them, and we just were not at all. And we did not know how to do it. We didn't know nothing about it. So once we kind of realized that, we had to take it into our own hands. And I think just because I'm the younger out of my mom and I took that on because she kind of just felt like social media and like what the technology was a little outside of what she was comfortable with. That's kind of where we come from. We are actually now completely independent. Permaglaze of Texas dissolved, or not Permaglaze of Texas, but Permaglaze dissolved in October of last year. In that, they allowed us to keep the name and keep operating as we were, so we wouldn't have to completely rebrand, because that would have been a nightmare of epic proportions I really didn't want to deal with. So I'm very grateful we were allowed to keep using the name. We are independent now, and we do all of our own advertising, everything. What the hell was I talking about? It's the end of 2025. So people are reflecting on the past year, and I'm part of a few Facebook groups for bathtub refinishers, and I've seen quite a few posts about 2025 really having been a struggle. Business down, making less money. I don't think it's as much about business being bad. I think a lot of the is like, is it the economy? I think it's more about many of the people in my industry are older than me men. And I think a lot of the older than me men don't necessarily know how to navigate the changing technology marketing landscape. And to be quite frank, I'm learning as I go as well. I'm doing my best. So that's what I'm going to hopefully try to convey today to those who may be struggling, may be unsure of how to move forward. I went through a bit of a phase about 2 or 3 years ago where I was listening to quite a lot of like business podcasts, self-improvement podcasts. One podcast I listened to very regularly was the Rachel Hollis podcast. And I think a lot of the stuff she shared back then, I probably am butchering and bastardizing. I kind of extrapolated from what I learned from her and turned it into something that would help me. One of the main things I learned from her was finding my audience. And I'm still actually doing that to this day. I don't think I have quite found, I don't think I've hit my stride there yet. I'm doing a lot of things to see what works and what doesn't, and I've been learning so much from it. I think within the last year, I had, okay, to back up, our business, my mom and I's business, had been struggling for a bit to really hone in on our target clientele. We were still getting the thing that so many people, the thing I see all the time, and I'm actually gonna read through this a little bit. Okay, here we go. I hope I'm not violating any trust or anything. I'm not gonna read names, but I'm just gonna kind of pick some things out. So this was in one of my bathtub refinisher networking groups. Somebody said, this year has been hard. I have a high reputation and everything, but I feel the economy is bad. I used to have 3 guys making a certain amount a week, but there's only work for me now. It's crazy. I don't know if I keep going or just stop and do something else. And this broke my heart because I've been there. Like, I know what that feels like. I have been in this industry since May of 2016, so we are at 9 years and 6 months. There have been so many times where I was like, I've got to get out of this industry. I'm not making money. We're not doing well. And that has totally turned around. I've fought these fights and I've gotten out of them. So that's really the crux of why I'm making this video. The original poster says, I saw a guy doing bathtubs for $149. Probably not even insured. The guy says, I've been slower for sure. Unfortunately, refinishing is not a need like plumbing or HVAC. I do kind of disagree with that point. People want to bathe in an environment they feel is sanitary. He says, I'd like to point out it's the shitbags in our industry who do tubs for $2.99 and do garbage work. We're going to go over why I find that irrelevant. When people are watching their money, they might choose the cheapest quote, not understanding why it's so cheap. And we are going to get into that as well. Makes it harder for the professionals to get work and stay busy, only if you don't know how to do it. Guy number 3 says, yep, can't compete with people doing tubs for $150. Yes, you absolutely can. You just got to know how to go about it. This guy says feast or famine for sure. This year's been weird. I was considering getting a different job. This guy says we're slow too. Hoping we pick up soon. I know him. He's really great at what he does. I think his wife does all their marketing and things. So hopefully this can help you a little bit. Been rough this year. I have to sell my building and downsize. Fuck, that sucks. I have less employees and less work every year for the last 3 years. Been slow as well. Yeah, so, and I've seen a couple other original posts kind of reflecting those same ideas in different groups, and it makes me really sad because, like I said, I don't think it's the economy. I don't think it's people don't want to pay prices. I think it's blue collar workers for sure, but the demographic of who is in this type of trade is not catching up with how to reach their customers. All right, so I originally started by just wanting to make one video where I touch on everything I want to touch on, but then I started writing notes, and I think now what I'm going to do is I'm going to break this up into at least 2 videos, especially because I yap so much up front. But kind of a general finding your audience video, and then a second video about website and social media, because that's really all the advertising I do at the moment. Also, this may not help everybody. I am in Dallas-Fort Worth, which is a huge metroplex. It's not just one city. It's really, Dallas is a city all of its own. Fort Worth is a city all of its own. Arlington is right between the two. It's a huge city. Denton is just north of me. It's another big city. And then everywhere in between, it's populated. There are, I think, 12 million people in DFW now. It says 8.3, but I don't think that's correct. That's a 2024 estimate. Fort Worth just surpassed Austin in population. So we've got 2 major cities that I'm servicing. About 7 competitors, like true, who I consider like professional residential majority or only bathtub refinishers. I only focus on residential. I do a little bit of commercial work, like higher end restaurants or higher end hotels. I don't do apartments. I work with a lot of investors, but they are independent investors. We have tried working for like investment companies that own hundreds or thousands of rental homes, but we just found that was not our lane. That's not part of our target group. I love working with independent investors who own, a handful of houses. But we primarily work with homeowners, property managers, general contractors, and independent investors. Those are our guys. So what I was saying with that is, if you are in a smaller area and you've only got one other competitor, or you are mostly commercial, this is probably not going to be super helpful for you. This is for those of y'all who are kind of swimming in a big pond, trying to find your audience. So our business goals. We are not looking at growing our team. My mom and I work together. She is in our office. She does all of our customer intake, scheduling, all of our books, the business end of it. I handle the technical side of it. We've done a lot of talking about hiring me a helper or hiring somebody and training them to take on the east side of the Metroplex while I focus on the west side of the Metroplex. And really just, we have done a lot of trying to figure out how to do that, how to make it work. And kind of at this point, probably for the next 3 to 5 years, we decided we're gonna table that. We want to basically just keep our business, our small team, the 2 of us as is, but continue to grow every year in that we are able to increase our prices and make a bit more money as we gain expertise and solidify our reputation, charge a higher end professional price, and remain steadily busy. I have felt from other refinishers over the years kind of like the pressure to grow and take on a team, and I really did kind of internalize that for a while. There's a lot of voices out there who are going to tell you what you should be doing, and I may be perceived as one of them by making this video. But really, if you're a one-man shop and you like it that way, you don't need to grow. You don't need to expand the team. Something I hear a lot is, if you're a business owner, you have an obligation to employ other people. And that's not why I became self-employed. I became self-employed because my mom asked me to help her out. She wanted me to stay on with her for 1 year and then release me back to what I was doing before. And I chose to remain self-employed because it works for me. I have a terrible time with authority. I don't like being told what to do. I don't like being told where I'm supposed to be, when, what I'm supposed to, it's just not for me. I'm a control freak. I like being in control of myself. So self-employment works beautifully. And because I'm that way, because I have such a rejection, such a repulsion for being an employee, I don't think I would be a great employer. I think I'd have a lot of guilt about being an employer, which is probably something I'm going to have to work through. I need to get back in therapy. Something I'm going to have to work through at some point. If I do ever want to take on an employee or 2 or 3 or however many. But that's just not where I'm at right now. And that's okay. Okay? All right, I have written here, if you're a professional refinisher who feels like you're competing against a cheap guy, this is for you. Okay, so essentially here, if you feel like you're competing against the $150 a tub guy, the bottom line is you are not distinguishing yourself from them. That's it. If the customer sees you and the fly-by-night cheap guy whose tubs are gonna peel, that means you're not doing your job to distinguish yourself from them. You're not helping the customer see why your prices are higher than theirs and why that's justified. If your ideal customer is not the person who's shopping for the cheapest bid, who is your customer? This is something I learned from Rachel Hollis that I did, and I think it helped me really be able to focus. Sit down and actually write who your customer is and be as detailed as you want to. I remember at this point I sat down and I wrote like 2 pages of who my customer was, like what their daily life looked like, what their behaviors were. Here, I'm going to summarize it for you. And you can have multiple kinds of clients. Like my clients are dual income, married couples with children, in home or grown, age 30 to 65. Single family home owners, homes ranging from $400K to $2 million. General contractors and interior designers who work with them, and independent real estate investors with rental properties ranging from $1,800 to $4,000 a month. Not large rental home corporations or Section 8 housing. Now, do I have clients who are outside those parameters? Yeah, for sure. But when I'm thinking about who I'm marketing to and how I'm marketing to them, that's who I have in mind. Now, figure out how those people will find you. If they are a higher end client, it is likely they use a trusted resource like a realtor or designer to source their home services. Realtors are another huge one. And social media is amazing for connecting with them, and we'll get into that in video too. So how do you connect to those referral sources? What platforms or methods? What are they looking for in a home service provider? I like to approach how I sell as though I'm the consumer. As a consumer, I want to do all of my research before I ever contact a company. And by the time I contact them, I already know I'm going to book with them. I just need a day and time. I'm somebody who reads a ton of reviews. I look at every website. I look at every page of the website. I look at social media. I scroll back as far as I can. By the time I reach out to somebody, I've already made a decision. Information and transparency without getting too into the weeds is the key here. I'll delve into that more specifically. Things I look at as a consumer to make my decision are websites and social media. So I'll break down what I do in each of those areas a bit. Second video probably. But first, I want to touch on the more general idea of creating a brand that people gravitate to. Here's another thing, and this is, I think, super important. I will never say or type the words best bathtub refinishing in DFW. To me, that does not mean anything because anyone can say that. Unless you have been given some type of like official award, like Dallas Observer award, like best bathroom renovation, or like your city or town's like best of, that's great. I mean, use that for sure in your marketing, advertising. But if you're just gonna like, we're the best bathtub refinisher, we're the #1 bathtub refinisher, that doesn't mean anything because everyone says that. I show my work and let the consumer make that conclusion for themselves. Okay, and here's another secret to this. If you want potential customers to come to the conclusion that you are the best, you actually have to believe that you're the best. You have to believe you're doing the best work and providing the best service you are capable of, because smart consumers can sniff out bullshit. Being the best may mean different things to different service providers. So think about what that actually means for you and your business. My definition of best means a few things. First and foremost, that I'm using a system and products that I believe are durable, long-lasting, and I've got to learn how to read. Products that I believe are durable, long-lasting, and replicate the look of real porcelain, ceramic, etc. as closely as possible. I want to achieve a perfect finish. Obviously, with refinishing, there are limitations to that. There's never going to be a perfect finish, especially in homes when we're not in like a sterile working environment. We all know that, but my goal is for it to be like stunningly beautiful. I was speaking with another refinisher recently about some financial things, and they advised for me to shop around for products that cost less, and that is not an option for me. The product and the system that I use are non-negotiable. They cost what they cost. This information is about 6 months old, so it may be different now, but for all of my products, cleaners, etch, primer, top coat, solvents, additives, etc., including shipping costs. Now, this is my product from my product supplier, not sundries and like tools and materials and things. I spend $37.36 per bathtub. It is not worth sacrificing quality to save a few dollars per tub, to me. If they raise their prices, I raise mine or find other ways to cut costs elsewhere. But changing my product line, unless I were to find something that I think works better, is just not an option. And I am always testing out other products, and genuinely, I have not been as impressed with them as what I currently use. They work fine, they're good. If I needed to in a pinch, I could use them. If something happened and my supplier closed, I could switch. But until then, I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing. Another huge thing for me is that clients trust me to be in their most intimate spaces unsupervised. Building familiarity with the consumer and having a good reputation are imperative, essential for this. Being clear, transparent, and honest. The consumer, most of them, does not know what refinishing even is. They just know, I want my tub to look brand new again. So you need to explain things like the consumer is 5 years old, not because they're stupid, but just because this information is not just inherently in people's heads. You got to teach them. The mental block that most refinishers have is that they don't want their competition to know what they're doing. You don't want your competition to know what products you use, your process, or your prices. In order to connect with the consumer, that has to become irrelevant. The benefit of the consumer knowing all of that information and being able to make an educated purchasing decision outweighs whatever negative you think the competition knowing that information may be. So to put it into perspective, in my service area of DFW refinishers, like I said, there are 7-ish residential focused refinishing companies that I would consider my true competition. There are 1.7 million owner occupied homes. I think this might just be Fort Worth. I think I might have only, Wait, is this just Fort Worth or DFW in total? Okay, no, this is fully DFW. Okay, DFW Metroplex. So this is my entire service area. There are 1.7 million owner-occupied homes. And this is single family homes, not townhomes or condos, which I also work in as well, but just to make it easy. 1.7 million owner-occupied homes. 377,000 single family rental homes. So again, that's not including apartments. My company and 7 other companies would never be able to serve every refinishing need based on this data, including the fact that I only do about 150 jobs per year. Job refers to anything from a single chip repair to like a multi-room, several bathrooms and kitchen, like refinishing project. That covers the entire scope of what I do. Therefore, my competitors are not a fear for me. There is plenty of work to go around. My goal is to be noticed by the people I want to notice me, not to hide from my competition. So, just think about that. You can't care what your competitors are doing or what they know about you. You've got to erase that from your brain. Share your process, the steps you take, how long it takes, the products you use, your pricing, and above all else, your personality. Find something that makes you unique and use that as your anchor point. We're the only women in DFW who do bathtub refinishing, so we have something incredibly obvious that makes us unique. Basically, what I'm saying here is there is a business for every consumer, so use what makes you unique to appeal to those who value it. Like if you're a husband and wife team, there's another refinishing company in DFW, Sharp Refinishing, who they're a husband and wife team, and they put that on everything. And that kind of taught me, my mom and I are a mother-daughter team, put that on everything. Make that your focal point, make that your anchor point. Let's see, someone I really admire who has done, I think they're a newer company. He worked for another larger company for a while. Justin Figueroa, Tub and Crete Coatings. From what I gathered, I don't really know a whole lot about him, but from what I've gathered on social media, former pro skater turned bathtub refinisher. And he has a great built-in audience because of that. He's so good at what I need to get better at, honestly, is he has a very strong personal brand. As Figgy, I have gathered. I've stalked your social media if you're watching this. Just to learn what you're doing and how I can replicate it. He has a very strong personal brand that is reflected within the business. So when he is sharing videos of like his bathtub refinishing, he'll also include like videos of him skating after he's done for the day. He just really incorporates it very well and shows his personality and who he is, and it brings a lot to his business, and he's gonna get clients simply because of that. Danny with Alliance Bath Reglazing, also in California, they're in the Bay Area. He has a very strong personal brand that is reflected within the business. How do I describe this? Like, you have your personal brand and you bring your personality into your business, but it's more polished and professional, businessy than the personal, you know? Does that make any sense? They're more, I think they do residential, but they do a ton of commercial work. They have a big team. So they use their big team in their social media. They do a lot of like trending audio, like reels and stuff on social media. There's a very strong tie between the personal brand and the business there. Something I really am going to work on in the following year is developing my personal brand. for a while, I was like, just showing your face on social media is enough for the customer to kind of familiarize themselves with you. But the more I look at like what other people are doing, like another one, she's not a refinisher, but who I really admire is Alicia Yancey. She owns Ace of Shades in North Carolina, which is a window tinting business. Her business brand is so injected with herself, and people want to hire her because of who she is. She's an Army veteran, a super pretty young woman. I think she's 25. Smiley, bubbly, so extroverted, and that is just nothing but good for her business. I think for a while I was thinking, okay, the business needs to be purely professional, like disappear myself into the business. But the more I look and the more I learn, I actually think that's kind of a mistake I've been making. I'm going to try a lot of things in 2026. I let fear of cringe hold me back so bad. Fear of judgment, fear of other people's opinions hold me back so much. And I gotta, like the forget what your competition thinks, I've gotta let that go, because it's only gonna be good for my business if I show myself. So I know if you follow me on social media, you know that I started an Instagram account for Marissa the Refinisher because I wanted to start doing that. I wanted to kind of like have a personal brand, have a business brand, intermingle the two, but still have a distinction. But I haven't developed the personal brand aspect of it. I just want to show more of my personality, which I'm not an extrovert. I'm neurodivergent in a handful of ways. I like yapping. I like analyzing. I wish I could be someone like Alicia, who is just so bubbly and so good on camera. And I think I could be good on camera, but in different ways, in my own way. Something I want to explore more this year that like just for me personally is more of the idea that blue collar work trades can also be feminine. Femininity and labor are not mutually exclusive. Definitely throughout my 20s and into my 30s a bit, I really tried to squash my feminine energy because I wanted to be respected and taken seriously. Someone who has another really good personal brand, who she works for like a corporation, so she doesn't advertise or market a business, but she has a great personal brand, is Alexandra McNamara. She's super girly, but she's a carpenter. And her Instagram blew up in the last few months. Just showing herself, showing who she is, and being great at what she does and being girly while doing it. Something else about me, before I was in the refinishing industry, I was in the beauty industry. I was a wedding and events makeup artist. I was an esthetician at a med spa. So I was really in the world of beauty. I was somebody who just like always had myself done. I always had nails done. I was very in my feminine. And then when I became a tradesperson, I was like, okay, I guess that part of me is dead because I want to be taken seriously. But something I feel like I've learned over the last few months, year or so, with connecting with other women in trades on social media is that both can coexist at the same time. So this year, I think I'm gonna really get into that. I think I'm gonna really lean into, yeah, I'm a girl. Like I'm a girl. I'm a 34-year-old woman, but I'm also a girl. And I am also a serious tradesperson, worthy of respect, who does great work, and that's going to appeal who that appeals to. Boy, oh boy, I really hope that I have made any sense in this video. I don't think I have. I think it'll all kind of make more sense in video too once I get into website and social media in a deeper level. So once I do that, first I'm going to get this video edited. I'm going to put it up on my Marissa the Refinisher YouTube page, which I made a while ago thinking I was going to do some kind of podcast. Then I didn't, but I'm going to put this on there, and hopefully if anybody finds this helpful, that's great. If I get 2 views on this, that's great too. You know, I'm not doing this to become like an influencer. I really feel like I have, oh, that's another thing I'm going to add to my personal brand. I really have a passion for education. I fucking hate gatekeepers. So that's going to be a big part of like my personal brand. Lord have mercy if I had one coherent thought that started and ended. Thanks for watching if you're watching. If you've made it through this whole video, that's so cool. But yeah, hopefully I'll have video 2 up. Let's see, it's December 28th as I do this. Hopefully before I start a big project that I'm going to start on January 6th. So keep an eye out. Thanks so much.